Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to what I like to call Yappy Hour. Today is just going to be a sit down yap session. I am going to spew all of my knowledge on bodybuilding on you guys. Maybe not all of it, just because I feel like bodybuilding, there's so much information and there's so much to cover. So I'm just gonna be kind of going over the basics. If you guys want or are interested, I can definitely do more videos just like diving into some of the specifics. Just let me know. But I am going to go over what the heck bodybuilding even is. I get questions literally all the time. I feel like a broken record, not in a bad way. Like, I love talking about it. But I feel like, there's a lot of questions. Bodybuilding is very niche. Bodybuilding is like a spectacle. Not everybody knows a bodybuilder in real life, so I totally understand, like, people have questions and I am here to answer them for you. So I'm going to be going over some of the most asked questions that I get and kind of explaining bodybuilding as a sport the best that I can. So going over things like what bodybuilding actually is, like what the competitions look like, the different types of competitions, the different types of categories and stuff. Just big overview, just to paint you guys kind of a picture of this crazy life that I now have. Obviously, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't know everything. There's so much that I am still learning. I'm still very new to the bodybuilding world and community. I'm still like learning and stuff like that. So hopefully I don't misspeak on any of this, but I am just spreading what I do know. So I will start this off to anybody that doesn't know me. I'm Rachel. I am a wellness competitor. I have only done one show, but I am currently in my second prep for my first open show. So the first show that I did is a natural show. So I'll give you guys that information and then let's just dive right into all of the things. Okay, what the heck is bodybuilding in general? This one kind of makes me giggle a little bit, but a lot of the time when people meet me for the first time and they find out that I'm a bodybuilder, they'll immediately be like, what's your squat? What's your bench? And it's like, that's not what it is. I get on stage half naked and show people my muscles. I don't get on stage and like do an exercise and I'm not going for like a PR, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's powerlifting, which is great, just not what I do. So when I am in the gym, I am building my body to look a certain way. It's right in the name. So I'm going to the gym, I am training super hard, but in specific areas for whatever my criteria is. Me, I'm wellness. So what that looks like is large lower body. So legs, glutes, they've got to be big. You still want the tiny waist. And then your upper body, we work a little bit of our lats so that we can get that hourglass kind of look. We want to pop in the shoulder, but we don't want huge arms in general. You know what I mean? The upper body is still supposed to be smaller than the lower body, but a bit more development and pop in the delts. That's kind of wellness in a nutshell. So I train a lot of legs, which is funny that I would sign myself up for this because I actually hate training legs, but it is what it is. There are so many different kind of categories to choose from. I do always tell people, like, yes, obviously, like, choose something that aligns with your goals, but also, like, genetics do kind of like come into play, and you should have a coach that's going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Me personally, like, naturally I do have wider hips and like a smaller waist, so I felt like wellness just in the end is going to be a better fit for me. There's so many, especially for the women, there are so many categories. I feel like if I try to list them all, I'll probably miss some, but going from like largest amount of muscle to smallest amount of muscle. I'm gonna try, and I'll probably edit this if I'm wrong, but you have women's bodybuilding. I believe there's women's physique, women's figure, women's fitness. Women's fitness, the look is very similar to women's physique, but they also do, I don't want to say a gymnastics routine, but like they're doing flips and stuff. Like imagine being stage lean and like having the energy to like flip and tumble around. Like I feel like they don't get the credit they deserve. That's very impressive. Anyways, moving on. Fitness, and then, wellness, and then bikini, and then fit model. Many categories to choose from. Some would argue too many. That's a topic for another day. The men don't have as many to choose from. They have men's bodybuilding. They have 212. That's their weight cap, no matter your height. That is the only category where it doesn't matter what your height is for them. Your weight cap is 212. And then there is classic physique, which, shameless plug, my boyfriend is a pro in, so I pay a lot of attention to classic physique. And then there is men's physique. They wear the board shorts. They are more focused on their upper body than their legs. So that's kind of like a quick overview of the different categories. Again, I can do a more detailed video on that and do a deep dive and like comparisons between all of the different categories and stuff. But not only are there a lot of categories, there are different federations, I guess you could say. So the one that I'm talking about is the most recognized, most well-known, most popular. It's the IFBB league, which is the pro league, and then underneath that is NPC or CPA. So NPC is the regional, national level for the states. CPA is the Canadian equivalent. Once you go pro, you move up into the IFBB Pro League. All of what I'm talking about pertains to that league because that's what I know, that's what I compete in, and that's what I would argue most people are kind of familiar with. When you see all of these pro bodybuilders and stuff, like this is what they belong to. There are absolutely like other federations out there. There are like fully natural leagues. There's OCB is a pretty popular one, I'm pretty sure. I think there's one called WNBF. So there are other leagues out there. Their criteria is obviously going to be a bit different than this. Their posing is quite a bit different from the IFBB posing and stuff. So there are definitely some differences there. I'm not going to talk about them just because I really don't know too much about them. That's okay. Just so people know, there are plenty of options out there. One thing I get asked all the time is, well, they test for like use at these shows, right? And the answer is yes and no. Depends on what show you go to. So there are natural shows and then there are open shows. There are a lot more open shows than there are natural shows. I think at the pro level, there is only, I want to say maybe 2. I could be wrong on this, but I think there's maybe only 2 natural shows and the rest are all open. At the pro level, it's actually very, very rare to still be natural. And part of that is because like at the pro level, so many people are enhanced and you're going up against them. It doesn't matter if you're natural or not. They're looking at what's in front of them on stage. So a lot of people figure like, well, I'm never going to be able to catch up to them naturally. So if you can't beat them, join them. And it is what it is. It's everybody's like personal like preference and stuff. Like I said, there are technically a couple shows at the pro level to do natural if that is like, you know, something you want to stick to. There technically are options. A lot of the time they like natural pro athletes will still jump into open shows and try their best. And a lot of them like can hold their own and stuff, but it's very, very hard when you're going up against enhanced athletes. So that being said, at the regional level, so not pro level, the amateur level, I should say, there are, I would say, plenty of options of both open shows and natural shows. At the natural shows, of course, they test. They're not testing, at least from what I know, they don't test like every single athlete that steps on that stage. It's only if you place, then they'll test to make sure that like you actually deserved it. Unfortunately, the only flaw in that is there are some terrible people out there who will use like peptides or other enhancements, wink wink, in their off season, and then they stop using it for their prep, which is normally between like 15 to 20 weeks. So it's completely out of their system by the time they are tested. The thing is, you can tell on stage. They obviously can't accuse you if they don't have the proof, but it's not a good look. And the bodybuilding community is pretty small. Word gets out. Like, it's just, don't be a sore loser. Like, just be honest. Don't enter a natural competition when you know you're obviously not natural. Like, none of this sneakiness. It's a bad look. You're gonna ruin your reputation. You're gonna ruin your coach's reputation. It's just like very poor sport mentality, very frowned upon, and people can tell right away what is built naturally and what is like not. So to answer that question, there are natural options and there are enhanced options. So I mentioned a little bit about prep. I said that it can be anywhere from 15 to 20 weeks. Obviously that might change depending on the person, but prep opens the door to a lot of questions. A lot of people will assume, they're like, oh, so you must be training really hard now and all these things, and your diet must be like crazy now. And the thing is, and maybe this isn't the case for everybody, but it's the case for me, my training is the same year round. Exact same training program year round. I train just as hard in my off season as I do in my prep, because again, like, that's how I'm going to get as much muscle as possible. The only thing that really changes is my cardio. Obviously in off season, I'm not doing as much cardio because I'm not focused on losing body fat, and the amount of food. Obviously some things get changed in my diet, but that's like very, very close to show. I follow a meal plan year round. Obviously my off season, I'll have some snacks here or there. I'll have a cheat meal or two a week. In prep, no cheat meals, no snacks. No, like, nothing outside of the meal plan. I always measure my food. Not everybody lives this way, and like, that's totally fine, but for me it makes it a little bit easier, so it's not so like steep of like a change for me from off season to prep. I would say like very, very, very close to show, like maybe about like a week before show, 2 weeks before show, I'll cut out like my energy drinks, my Diet Cokes. That's the most painful part for me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, you guys know that I hate cardio. Cutting out my energy drinks and stuff, way worse, way more painful. But like I said, my training doesn't really change. I just have a little less fuel in the tank, so it kind of feels like you're pushing harder. I'm obviously doing more cardio. Not a crazy amount though. Making sure that my daily steps are where they need to be. I do typically, without trying, naturally get at least like 10K steps a day, but the goal might like go up a little bit. My water goal might go up a little bit in prep. I think that that's like one big misconception, that it's like you flip the switch on prep and like now you're training crazy and your diet is like 2 pinto beans and like, you know, a drop of water, and like that's just not the case. Definitely not sustainable. Again, obviously everybody's protocol is going to look different, but that is my personal experience. Another thing that I feel like I explain a lot to people is the level of shows. So, what I would call at a regional level. So, a regional show to me, no requirements. Anybody can sign up. You don't need any sort of experience. You just sign up, you show up. Great. If you place, I believe it's top 2, could be 3. I'm pretty sure it's top 2. Then you are qualified for a national show or a pro qualifier. So now you're going up against kind of like the best of the best. If you win that, if you win that in the overall, you get your pro card. That's in Canada. In Canada, it is a lot harder to get your pro card than it is in the States. And that is not a dig on them at all. Bodybuilding is bigger in the States. They have more pro cards to give out. That's awesome and that's great. And that's also why you will probably see a lot more Canadian athletes trying to do shows in the States because there's more opportunity. In Canada, you'll have your different classes, and your class is based off of your height. So you have to win that class and then win in the overall against all the other class winners. And I think like very, very rarely they might give it to the top 2. That is super, super rare. Now, a lot of the American pro qualifiers, it might not be every class gets their pro card if you win first place, but most of the classes will get them if you win first place. So a little bit of better odds, and I love that. I wish that Canada was that way, but it is what it is. Obviously, once you get your pro card, then you are only competing against other pros. There are shows all over the world. Those shows, you know, you are working towards getting your Olympia qualifier or points towards your score for the Olympia. The Olympia is It's the Olympics of bodybuilding. It's the most prestigious, like, biggest stage in the world for bodybuilding. Like, that is the dream for all bodybuilders. There are so many different steps and levels to get there, but I love a challenge, and most bodybuilders are like that. We love a challenge. We love to keep improving. So to me, it's very exciting. For some people, it might seem like a lot of work and not a lot of money out of it, because that's the thing. At the pro level, you can start to win money when you win, but it takes so much to get there. A lot of people are like, oh, do you win money at your shows? I'm like, no, you just do it for the love of the game. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, what is with the tan? Everybody is so amused by the tan. It's an experience. That's for sure. You are so depleted. You have no body fat. And then you are sprayed with this freezing cold tan like 2 or 3 times. Yes, we get 2 to 3, sometimes 4 coats of this dark, dark, dark tan. Why the heck do we do that? I think for a couple of reasons. The first one I know to be true, those stage lights really wash you out. So when you're seeing someone just take a video of them just like existing in natural light, it's aggressive. But when you get on stage, like, obviously, yes, you look dark, but it doesn't look like that dark. It's so that you can see the muscle properly, see the shadowing and like the definition properly. Everybody's all one even kind of like color and stuff like that. You know, some people tan more on their arms than their legs, etc., etc. My theory is I think that it also kind of puts people more on like a level playing field if everybody's the same color orange, or like close to the same color orange. I feel like maybe it's a little bit easier to judge. I could be wrong on that. That's just my theory. But lots of tan, typically you'll get your first coat the night before, and then you have to make sure you put dark sheets down so you don't rub orange all over the place. And then the morning of your show, you will go and get the rest of your coats. And then you're ready for stage. The last thing that I'll say about bodybuilding and competing is it is an extreme sport. It is an extreme sport. You are not supposed to follow a bodybuilding prep, like diet wise, cardio wise, like all of that. It is not sustainable. And like everybody within the community knows that, but a lot of people from the outside don't know that. So they'll look at you super lean, super depleted, and they're like, that's not healthy. And we're like, we know, like we're saying that too. So when people who don't know like comment and they're like, what's the ab routine? What's the diet? And it's like, no, this is not sustainable. This is not how you live your life. We do it for a short, controlled period of time to look like that on stage. And then we immediately, if you're not doing another show after, you immediately start slowly working back to getting to a healthy standpoint with your body to make sure that everything is working. That's why blood work is so important. That's why having a coach is so important. A coach that knows what they're doing and is looking out for your health first. I feel like I do have to explain that part to people a lot of the time, like what I'm doing in my diet and my cardio, like you should not be doing to like lose the like extra 15 pounds that you've been trying to get off. Like it's not the same. And I feel like maybe this is like a broader video that I should talk about, but I'm just putting it out there. It is an extreme sport. It is supposed to be hard. It is supposed to be intense because that's what it is. It serves its purpose for the allotted amount of time. And then you go back to wanting to be healthy and building and improving and living life. That is bodybuilding in a nutshell. Like I said, I could yap forever. I feel like there's still so much that I didn't cover. But if you have any other questions, please be sure to let me know down below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.